My favorite time of the week is back. It is now time for Anton's top 10 rankings for week 3. Everybody, and welcome to another video. Again, my favorite video segment of the week. I look forward to filming this one for you each and every week. And yet another crazy week in the NFL. If you thought last week was crazy, this week was even crazier. I'm going to start this video out by recapping Anton's picks, which means that we're recapping some of the picks, some of the games in the NFL this week. But before we get into anything, make sure you are hitting the like button. Make sure you are subscribing to Hotsport, the greatest sports channel on YouTube. Guys, seriously, you are missing out. Hotsport is getting better every single week. And just as a reminder, you guys, you can see the information down below. The reels for our post-match and Anton's picks, as well as the highlights of this video, are all on social media, on our TikTok, on our Instagram. You can see those handles below, as well as the YouTube. But if you're watching this video, of course, you already know where the YouTube is. We have so much to get to, and we will begin now, as I just said, with Anton's picks. And recapping Anton's picks. Anton went 7-9. Oh my god. This week on Anton's picks. Damn. 7-9. Which means that I am now 27-21 overall through 3 weeks of the NFL season. And yeah, look. This should not be a reflection. This should not be a reflection on your boy's knowledge of the game, right? It's just the game throws up surprises. This is the NFL. It's a week-to-week league. Any given Sunday, and this Sunday particularly was any given Sunday that I was happy to have the results go a bit crazy. But it continued itself well into Monday Night Football, which I now we're filming after, by the way. So I'm doing my list before Colin, before Nick, before Rich Eisen. So all of those guys, before Stephen A. Smith. This is coming out before, Stephen's A list, right? This is your original top 10 list, guys. All right? So this is uninfluenced by anybody. I'm never influenced by anybody. This is purely my top 10 list with my algorithms. And the algorithms have thrown up another crazy list with lots of changes. And let's get into it, shall we? Well, we all know what this segment is. It is the segment, one of my favorite segments and one of my favorite shows every single week is the Off the List. And this one is more fun because this time the Off the List does not include the Eagles. Spoiler alert, it can't be. I mean, they weren't on the list last week, so they can't be off the list. Whew. The first team off the list, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They were top 5 in the list last week, but they got absolutely embarrassed at home by the Denver Broncos, one of the worst teams in the NFL with a rookie quarterback. Just as I was praising the Buccaneers and saying they looked like the playoff team that they were last year, they absolutely have to go ahead and look like absolute idiots at home. The Denver Broncos humiliated them. They pantsed them. And therefore, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are off the list. Also off the list, and also insanely embarrassed in front of the entire nation, were the Houston Texans. Again, I put them on the list last week, and just as I do that and I start saying how great of a team the Texans are, they absolutely get destroyed by the Minnesota Vikings, who we're going to get to them later in the video because they are now 3-0. They have been taking names, taking numbers week after week after week, and Sam Darnold is looking like the number one pick that he was destined to be. But on the back part of that, the Houston Texans just could not get anything going on offense. I mean, I'm hearing a lot of things about the Minnesota Vikings defense, and it is legit, and we will talk about it later on in the video. But however, there were so many expectations on CJ Stroud. Your boy has got Stephon Diggs. Your boy has got Joe Mixon. He has got Nico Collins, and the list goes on and on. Dalton Schultz. And yet, the Houston Texans could only muster one touchdown on the road against a team that I started the year in the bottom 25% of the NFL. So that is means for removal from the list for the Houston Texans. Also off the list, the Los Angeles Chargers. Again, I had just put them on the list. Why? Is there a curse of going on the list that you then come right back off of it? I don't know. But the Los Angeles Chargers lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, another team that we're going to talk about later on in this list. I did pick this, by the way. I did pick the Steelers. It's actually one of the ones that I got right. But the Los Angeles Chargers, look, Justin Herbert obviously is a little bit nicked up. He had a very poor performance against the Steelers, but after two really convincing looking wins in weeks 1 and 2 against two pretty poor opponents, they go up against a semi-good opponent, or actually an opponent that's in this top 10. I mean, come on, I'm not reading anything for you guys. They're 3-0. But the Chargers are now off the list, and the algorithms say that much. Also off the list, and last but certainly not least on the off the list of the list are the San Francisco 49ers. That's right. What a fall from grace. From number 2 on the list to open up in 2 weeks ago, fallen to number 10, to now completely off the list. Brock Purdy is turning back into a pumpkin, isn't he? Maybe, look, I'm I'm taking it a bit too far. I kid. Look, if anybody's actually watched the games, you know that Brock Purdy actually has not been that bad in them. But yeah, look, they had this game, the Rams game, in the pocket, and the Rams came back and they won the football game. And that's 2 weeks in a row now that they have now lost to the 49ers. You can't lose back-to-back games and expect to remain on the list. That's just lunacy. Maybe later on in the year. But at this point of the year, when everything is ever-changing, 2 losses in a row is brutal in order for your qualification to get a list. So the San Francisco 49ers are now off the list. But, you know, McCaffrey, Debo, Kittle was missing for this game as well. They do have excuses. I expect them to be back on the list at some point, all kidding aside. And that has been my off-the-list list. All right. Shall we get into it, ladies and gentlemen? Did I just show too much to the camera? Sorry. This is the top 10 list. Cue the NFL music, if it hasn't been playing already. By the way, everyone, just to make it clear again, just as we do every single week, we have to recap the qualifications so just y'all all understand the rules to this list. And the rules are different with records. Again, there are 5 3-0 teams in the NFL this week. Only 5 unbeatens remaining. All 5 unbeatens will feature in the top 5 of this list, guaranteed, no doubt. The next rule is that you do have to qualify for the bottom 5 of the top 10. From places 6 through 10, you have to be 2-1. You have to be 2-1 to qualify for places 6 through 10. So that eliminates teams like the Ravens, like the 49ers, teams that you would think should be on this list, no doubt. They are 2-1 now. Those teams are 1 and 2, so they don't even qualify for the list whatsoever. And as you know, I've already knocked the 49ers off the list, and the Ravens have never featured on the list at all this season. But I think someone tells me that they'll be back there at some point this year. But the other qualifications to the list, the reasons that this list is compiled: points scored, point differential, opponents played, and my pre-season ranking originally gets thrown into the pot, creating a beautiful mix that does indeed result in this list. Shall we begin? At number 10, the Green Bay Packers, making their first appearance on the top 10 list. Look, I counted them out with Jordan Love out. I must admit to that, but Malik Willis has got the Packers on back-to-back wins against AFC South teams. This time they went away to the Tennessee Titans, and they absolutely took the Titans, who are now 0-3, to the woodshed with Malik Willis at quarterback. And to make things even worse for the Titans, they got pick sixth, and Jair Alexander brought that bad boy back to the house. And after an early loss in Brazil, back-to-back wins by the Packers against two AFC South foes, they have got themselves back on the list. And Jordan Love, from what I hear, is only returning right around the corner. But at the moment, they're showing that they don't need him. Again, I picked against them in back-to-back weeks. I picked the Colts and the Titans. Stupid me. And the Packers keep proving me wrong. They are on the list now at number 10. They are newcomers. One of the 4 newcomers to the list. Also back on the list after missing out on it last week are the Detroit Lions. That's right, they are one of 2 teams that have been re-welcomed back onto the top 10 list. The Detroit Lions went to the desert, as Anton predicted in his picks, and they took care of the Arizona Cardinals, an Arizona Cardinals team that has gained my attention and respect. Look, Kyler Murray has been balling out, but the Detroit Lions defense came to play this time around, and the run game came to play. The two-headed monster of Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs doing the business. Both of those boys ended up in the end zone, and I think both combined for over 200 yards rushing and receiving combined. Let me know if I'm wrong on that, but I believe that to be the case. The Detroit Lions are looking better. They're looking like the team that everyone expected them to be. I do not apologize. Let's say I apologize, but I do not apologize for removing you from the list, because losing last week, that was not a great performance despite the Aiden Hutchinson masterclass. You guys, though, deserve a spot back on this list, and hopefully you guys stay here and climb it. That's the least for the Lions fans out there. At number 8, the New York Jets. I promised this on Friday, my time, Thursday, after Thursday Night Football Review. This is back-to-back weeks where I have, forecasted my list. I promised you that the New York Jets would make it onto the list. Aaron Rodgers is back to balling like Aaron Rodgers. He looks like the Green Bay version of Aaron Rodgers, just slinging that thing all over the football field. Allen Lazard, Garrett Wilson, he's got his boys out there, and the Jets are clicking, and that defense is absolutely insane. It's brutal. It completely shut out the New England Patriots. It shut the Patriots out so bad that they finally had to drop Jacoby Brissett and put Drake May in at quarterback. We will see if that holds water as the news in the week progresses. But the New York Jets, however, look absolutely amazing, and they are on the list for the first time this season at number 8. At number 7, dropping 5 spots from number 2 last week, the New Orleans Saints. Why are they number 7 on the list? Because they lost to the Philadelphia Eagles, the team that had exploded for 91 points for the first 2 weeks. Only managed 12 and 1 touchdown against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles defense apparently was totally bad. They came to play. They really shut out and I use the term shutout because this is a team that scored 47 points one week and 44 the other. To hold them to 12 is a massive feat. We're not talking about the Eagles right now. We're talking about the New Orleans Saints, who have come crashing back down to earth to 2-1. And look, they were the second best of the 2-1 team. So, once you lost one, you were going to fall out of the top 5. And there's only one team in the 2-1s that beat them, that went ahead of them. And look, I still expect the Saints to continue to go on. They're going to have to look at the film, look at the tape, see what went on, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Again, C.J. Gardner-Johnson said it best. At the end of the day, their quarterback is Derek Carr. That's all he said. And, man, it's the truth. Look, the Saints went up against a very, very good football team. In fact, so good, that they are, at number 6, the Philadelphia Eagles. That's right, they are the best 2-1 team ranked and back on the list. Thank God for me. It was so hard doing last week's list. Having to, put them on the off the list and then continue to pick a list without them in it was hard. But see, they sat at number 11 on my rankings last week, which meant that they were first to the punch. If anybody fell down to get back on the list, if they managed to get a win, and it was not an easy feat having to go to New Orleans and do it. And that defense looks absolutely lit. Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis look like first-round picks. Zach Bond went back to New Orleans on the defensive side of the ball and lit it up. And it was like, I'll show you guys for letting me go hit free agency where you guys threw me into the scrap heap. And same with CJ. I'll show you guys for trading me away for, I don't know what they traded him for. What, a 4th-round pick? 5th-round pick? Nothing, right? He came back. He came out with a vengeance, with a bit between his teeth. Our defense was holding out our offense. Look, Nick Sirianni. We have to get to that. Man, just look, dude. I get the aggression, but you got to pick your spots, and you got to take the points at sometimes. And sometimes you have to learn that it's okay to punt the ball and pin the ball deep, instead of give them the team at midfield because you wanted to try an audacious 60-yard field goal. But it's back-to-back weeks where Nick Sirianni, you're annoying me. You're annoying me with some of your decisions in situational football. But Saquon Barkley, again, made up for his mistake. He hit a 65-yard TD run to the house. Jalen Hurts in the clutch came up huge. Hit Dallas Goedert for a 60-yarder on 3rd and 19, and the Eagles went to the Dome, went to New Orleans, to the Bayou, and they beat the Saints. That's why they are ahead of them on these power rankings. Welcome back to the list, the Philadelphia Eagles at number 6. Now, let's get into it. The top 5 and Tom's Power Rankings, Hot Sports Power Rankings top 5. Here we go, the big boy Potter list, the undefeated part of the list. At number 5, the Seattle Seahawks. I thought they would lose. I thought somehow the Dolphins were good enough, even though they had Skylar Thompson at quarterback, even though against Thompson, this happens to the Dolphins every single time, by the way. When they lose Tua, the next week they lose the backup to Tua. Skylar Thompson had to leave the game with an injury. He was disastrous for the Miami Dolphins. But the Seattle Seahawks are 3-0. Again, they're 3-0, and they played really good. Geno played really good. DK Metcalf has been on it this season. And look, I think 3 pretty solid performances in 3 games. Again, they've yet to really go up against a team that, that will test them. The Miami Dolphins were supposed to be that, but because of what happened last week, losing to, and you feel like the Dolphins are a ghost at the moment. And they got them at the very, very right time. And therefore, the Seattle Seahawks are 3-0, but I have them as the number 5 of the unbeaten teams. At number 4 on the list, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the team that every single week people are like, why do you have them so high up your list? Week 1, I had them at number 5. Last week, they dropped 1 spot to number 6. This week, They've now gone up 2 to number 4, and that's because, guys, Mike Tomlin is a legit coach in the NFL. And he and his defense again is so freaking good. The Los Angeles Chargers, who had been looking great through 2 weeks, were absolutely rocked by the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Justin Fields, his best showing in a Pittsburgh Steelers jersey. Last week I was talking about what would the Steelers offense look like with Russell Wilson at quarterback because it looks bad with Justin Fields. Well, this time it looked good with Justin Fields. He hooks up with Miles Austin on a massive touchdown just to cap off a really good performance by Justin Fields and the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have justified their spot in the top 4. But they ain't top 3 though. They ain't top 3 though. At number 3, this is the real big boy part of the list, I think. These 3 teams have by far and away been the best 3 performers in the NFL. Moving up 1 spot for number 4. At number 3, the Minnesota Vikings. Come on, guys. The Vikings. Look, as I said, they didn't make the list week 1 because they played the Giants. I overlooked it. It didn't change my opinion on the Vikings. I don't think it changed anybody's opinion on the Vikings. But then they went out last week. They spanked, I wouldn't call it spanked, they beat the San Francisco 49ers. And this week they spanked, this time I would call it a spank, the Houston Texans. 2 teams that are meant to be really, really, really good in the NFL this year. That defense is looking amazing under Brian Flores. Honestly, you could hear, if you watch the press conferences afterward, the Houston Texans player, CJ Stroud, were telling you how hard it was to play against this defense. This is a team that's completely surprising. Kevin O'Connell, at the moment, should be easily the number 1 candidate for Coach of the Year. Sam Darnold, he's taken Sam Darnold out of the trash heap and into the MVP conversation. Right now, I actually think, barring Josh Allen, who we'll talk about soon, Sam Darnold's got to be one of the front runners for MVP so far this year. He's been absolutely great. And maybe it was just a case of he was in the wrong system. Now he's got a really good offensive head coach in Kevin O'Connell. And the Minnesota Vikings are laying out a statement to the NFL. Look, everyone's waiting for them to drop off, but right now, for 3 weeks, they are for real. And they deserve thoroughly a top 3 spot upon my power rankings. At number 2, moving up 1 spot from number 3 last week, the Buffalo Bills. I had just a few hours ago finished watching them put on an absolute demolition of the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars team that I have winning 9 ball games this year, so a winning record. And they took the wrecking ball and they smashed them. This is the most dominant performance I've seen by any team in the NFL. Of course, you can look back to the New Orleans Saints' demolition of the Carolina Panthers. They also put up 47 points, by the way. But I respect the opponents that the Buffalo Bills played today much more. Although, now they've fallen to 32 in my ranking. But that's because they're one of 3 teams. But the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, once again, is for sure. If you thought last week when I said that he'd been playing the best football of any quarterback through 2 weeks, he is most definitely, after 3 weeks, playing the best football. He put an absolute masterclass today on Monday Night Football, and he 1,000% thoroughly deserves to have the Bills 3-0. That defense absolutely embarrassed the Jacksonville Jaguars. They got to Trevor Lawrence. They made turnovers. They forced stops on downs. As I said last week, Von Miller's looking like prime Von Miller. Damar Hamlin, I don't want to say came back from the dead because it's not really funny. But Damar Hamlin, with his first interception since the horrific injury on a Monday night, or it was a Monday night, wasn't it? Yes. He died on a football field, guys, and the most amazing miracle, he's a walking, talking miracle, almost 2 years later, comes back and on a Monday night stage gets a pick of Trevor Lawrence. What a story. It, in fact, overshadowed the performance of Josh Allen for me. Like, I've actually put, if you look at my reels, I actually put Damar Hamlin on the cover. It was so deserving of that. And the Buffalo Bills are so deserving of being 3-0 and number 2 on my rankings. But the top team still holding their spot at number 1. The defending Super Bowl champion, the Kansas City Chiefs. Man, they are number 1, and they are number 1 for a reason, because they've been dominating the football world for the last half a decade, really. 3 titles in 5 years for the Chiefs. They're in the AFC Championship game every single year. Sorry. And I said in my review last week, not yesterday, mind you, they just seem like they're toying with the competition. They're not even playing at 50% of their capacity at the moment. And they still are getting the job done. They're entertaining you guys. They're giving you guys hope to think maybe that they might be vulnerable. Trust me, don't fall for it. Do not fall for it. And the Kansas City Chiefs absolutely, once again, thoroughly deserve to be the top team in the NFL after 3 weeks. And that has been my top 10 power rankings. To recap, at number 1, the Kansas City Chiefs. At number 2, the Buffalo Bills. At number 3, the Minnesota Vikings. At number 4, the Pittsburgh Steelers. At number 5, the Seattle Seahawks. At number 6, my Philadelphia Eagles. At number 7, the New Orleans Saints. At number 8, the New York Jets. At number 9, the Detroit Lions. And at number 10 on your program, the Green Bay Packers. And that has been your top 10 list. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys on the next video. Peace!